All right. Let's officially get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Donovan Pacholl. I'm the owner of Embark. I used to live on Mount Kilimanjaro in 2002 and 2003, so 20 years ago. I proposed to my wife on Kilimanjaro. Everything Embark, the whole company was founded on Mount Kilimanjaro 20 years ago. So it's fascinating to be sitting here 20 years later and to see where this has come. We were running a guest house at 5,000 feet on Mount Kilimanjaro where climbers would come through as they're preparing to climb the mountain. So for those of you who are just joining, submit questions into the chat. Then you will see a Zoom meeting in there for afterwards. We've got a big turnout tonight. It looks like we have 32 people tonight. So great, everyone. Nice to meet you. Submit questions, and this will be recorded and this will be sent out to you tomorrow. All right, let's get started. Okay. Any questions? You can also email me at donovan@embarkexplorationco.com. And this is the website as well. And this is that meeting that I was talking about that is in the chat. If you want to talk afterwards, face to face, you're more than welcome to. Whenever this meeting ends, this other meeting will start and I will be there and hang out if anybody wants to chat for any reason. All right, my background. I've been planning expeditions, treks, mountain climbs for more than 20 years, including living at 5,000 feet on Mount Kilimanjaro for close to 2 years. Yes, amazing to kind of think about that. So that's about me, Embark. And here's just a little bit about us on Kilimanjaro. Jumbo. Embark was founded on Mount Kilimanjaro more than 20 years ago. I was living in one of the highest villages that borders the national park and learning about Tanzania, its culture, its people, and how to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Today, we have hundreds of people that are climbing each year with us, learning how to make it to 19,341 feet. Embark currently employs 9 full-time guides, more than 200 porters, big kitchen staff, office managers, and are based in the town of Machame at the base of Kilimanjaro. There are many Kilimanjaro climb companies. I believe Embark is in the top 5%. We believe in fair wages for our porters. We believe in a high ratio of guides and porters per person. We have incredibly good food. We have very good people that we employ. Our goal is to make sure that you get to the top of the mountain safely and get back home safely. All right, that's a little bit about me. So let's get started. I always like to start with a few pictures of Kilimanjaro, kind of giving context for what it is. This is Kilimanjaro. This is from the Kenya side. So Mount Kilimanjaro is actually in Tanzania. There's a border between this park right here and Mount Kilimanjaro, where the powers that be at the time divided up this part of East Africa. So this is Amboseli Game Reserve. This is that classic Lion King picture with the acacia trees and the elephants right here, with Kilimanjaro in the background, kind of like the previous picture before. Now let's switch sides, and now we're going to go to Moshi, and this is the town this is the town at the base of Kilimanjaro. Now this is on the southern side in Tanzania, so the opposite side of Kilimanjaro. This is the iconic picture this is the picture that most people think of. This is the way that Mount Kilimanjaro climbed, and this is actually where I used to live in 2002 and 2003. I actually didn't live right here. I actually lived right up here on the side of the mountain in an area called Mbukomo. So now we're going to jump a little bit closer up onto the mountain, and this is actually at about 13,000 feet on Kilimanjaro. So this is about your day 5 on your Kilimanjaro hike, and as you can kind of see, we're still on the southern side of the mountain. For those of you who are just arriving, please, anyone submit questions in the chat for the conversation later tonight. So again, my background, I lived in the foothills of Kilimanjaro. Embark organizes about 300 people per year on the mountain. We have a very high success rate because we generally do 8-day trips on the Lemosho route. I helped found the Kilimanjaro Porters Assistance Project, fair wages for porters. I haven't been involved with the project as any administrative type for a long time, but we are part of that project and are one of the handful of companies that are in it. We do also do lots of large treks for charity foundations. I know that there's a number of you here tonight that maybe are with some different foundations that do treks with Embark. Okay, so this is the most important slide. So if you just kind of have this on your phone or whatever, and you want to learn something tonight, this is the slide to learn. Okay, so let's look at it. This is how it works. You basically arrive on the left-hand side of the screen and you're 2 nights in a hotel. And after the second night, you're going to drive up to 7,800 feet. That is the starting gate, the starting point for a climb on the Lemosho route. You're going to spend 6.5 days going up and a day and a half going down, right? And so you look at that, that's 8 days, 7 nights on the mountain. You go back to that same hotel where you started, and then you fly home or you go on a safari. So that is 11 days and 10 nights you need in the country in order to climb Kilimanjaro. You shouldn't really do it in any shorter period. Maybe you could do it in a 7-day climb, but in general, if you're going to do this, you need 11 days, 10 nights. Now, a lot of times people, what they do is they leave on a Friday and they arrive on Saturday. KLM Northwest, right? That's a good flight. Qatar are Ethiopians. So they arrive on Saturday, they rest on Sunday, and they start climbing on Monday. Then they come down the following Monday and they fly home Tuesday or go on a safari. But we'll look at this a little bit more. But if you're thinking about doing it and you're planning for work around the holidays or whatever, maybe you need to do it on a Monday that is a holiday or something like that, this is what you need. You need 11 days, 10 nights. Okay, so some things about Kilimanjaro. Number one, most important thing, I don't care if you've done an Ironman, I don't care if you've run a marathon, whatever, this is a huge mental and physical challenge. It is by far a huge mental and physical challenge. You're going to be sleeping outside for 7 nights. You're going to be hiking to 19,341 feet. You have half the oxygen that you have at sea level. It is hard, even though Kilimanjaro is technically an entry-level mountain. So there's 4 main routes: the Lemosho, Machame, Marangu, and Rongai. There's the Umboy route as well. There's the Western Breach as well. But those are the 4 main routes. Tonight, we're going to be talking about 8 days on the Lemosho route, which actually is also part of the Machame route. It's second easiest of the 7 summits, or maybe perhaps the easiest of the 7 summits. Does not require any technical equipment. This is a hill. You're waking up every day and you are hiking. There's no technical equipment that is needed, and you're going through a different ecosystem almost every day on the hike itself. So the hike itself on an 8-day trip is usually about 42 miles. These are fully supported expedition style trips. You cannot climb Kilimanjaro on your own. It's against the law. You must take a guide service with you. With a group of 10 people, you would have over a 50-person support staff. So the question is why? And you will see that tonight. There's a lot of things that you carry when you're going up the mountain, like a bathroom, like food. We make 23 meals from scratch on the mountain. So 23 meals, 10 people, that's 230 meals. There's a lot that you do, that you carry when you're going up the mountain. So this right here is a group. And if you can see a lot of the climbers sitting down at the base, and you can see the massive support staff that it takes to take everyone up the mountain. So there are tables and chairs and tents and toilets and oxygen, and there's a guy who just carries eggs, and there's people who carry coolers with frozen meat and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into planning a Kilimanjaro style trip. I only see one question in the chat tonight, so if anyone can type in one of you, there's 44 of you out there, submit a question in the chat, at least one of you. So again, here's what a support staff looks like. This is the group getting ready to go start a climb for a group of people. Now, this is kind of what it looks like when you're hiking up. And I'm not going to get into the specifics, but here's the starting point, and you can see your first day is only 3.7 miles. So you're probably saying, well, why are we only going barely 4 miles on the first day? And the reason is because you're not even going to start hiking till 1 in the afternoon. 1 in the afternoon is when you're going to start hiking. It takes a lot of work to come from Moshi all the way out there to get started, register, eat, get all the porters organized, get them ahead of you, and go. It's a very short day. You'll get into camp at maybe 4 or 5 in the afternoon. The sun goes down there. It's an equatorial country, so it goes down there early. And then you're going to make your way up this mountain right here, Shira 1, Shira 2, Barranco, Karanga, Barafu, to the summit, back and down. And we're going to look at this again, but I want to give you context for what a typical climb looks like. This is a great way. Now, this is another very important one if you have to look at. This red line represents the first 3.5 days. So after 3.5 days of hiking, you're only going to be right here. You have not started climbing this mountain yet. This is an approach mountain. So it's taking you to the actual physical going up. This is still mountain climbing. It's just a big hike. This is 3.5 days. Your day 4 is about right in here. Your day 5 is about right in here. And your day 6 is right there where the green line meets the light blue line, right? Now your summit night is this blue line. And why I have it marked blue is because this is to the ridge called Stella Point, which you're going to see. You come all the way, after you get to the ridge, you come all the way over to the highest point of Africa, which is right here. And then you descend all the way back down. That's what climbing Kilimanjaro kind of looks like. Again, this line would actually go across. You're coming across a really cool plateau. Kilimanjaro is actually 3 mountains. There's the Shira plateau right here. There's Kibo, and there's Mwenzi, which is right over here, which you can't see. Okay, safety on the mountain. The key, if you want to make it to the top of Kilimanjaro, I'm going to tell you 2 things you need to do that are important. You have to go slow. In Swahili, we say pole pole, and then you have to drink water. If you can go slow up the mountain, drink a lot of water, in general, you have a high probability of making it to the top of Kilimanjaro. Okay, so let's get into some questions right here. Best time of year. Kilimanjaro is an equatorial country. It is 3 degrees south of the equator. A lot like Ecuador. Ecuador and its mountains, Cotopaxi and Chimborazo, the Kilimanjaro can be climbed most of the year. In fact, I would argue that you could even climb it into November, and you can climb it into sometimes April. There is a rainy season. There are 2 rainy seasons, actually, April and May, and sometimes there's a second rains that come in November. If you're thinking about climbing, think about when you want to be training. That's the most important thing. Would you, if you lived in Oregon or Washington, would you like to leave December through March? Probably, because it's nice over in Kilimanjaro. Or do you want to leave mid-June through October? Those are general the times that you are, but you have to think about your training because you're going to be training 3 months prior to starting the adventure. All right, what is the weather like? Now pay attention right here, 4,600 meters. Does anybody know what that is? That's over 15,000 feet, right? This is 15,000 feet. So what is the weather like? Well, the weather on Kilimanjaro is everything. You're going to be adding layers and subtracting layers all throughout your time. And a lot of times you're going to get above the rain on Kilimanjaro. So this was that same group that was wet here just before this and then was dry down here. So Kilimanjaro is generally a moderate based trekking mountain, meaning the weather is mostly good and there's generally never really any extreme temperatures with the exception of summit night and the wind potentially. Anyways, the weather's constantly changing on Kilimanjaro, and as long as you come fully equipped, you should have a relatively good time. Most of the time, there's not a lot of rain on Kilimanjaro in the July, August, September time frame. There's generally not too much rain in general on Kilimanjaro, though. So what is a camp like? Well, here's a camp, right? So here's a Mountain Hardwear tents right here. Here's like a mess tent. This is a bathroom right over here, right? Here's a bathroom. Here's another mess tent. So this is like an Embark group that's up there. And as you can see, it's kind of a big group right here, right? And what do you do up at these camps? Well, up at some of these camps, there's a lot of relaxing that needs to kind of happen because you're allowing your body to acclimatize. If any of you have climbed any other mountains before, which I'm sure you have, as you know, acclimatization, to climb to 19,341 feet, you need to be able to hang out. So on some of the shorter days, specifically from Barranco to Karanga and Karanga to Barafu camps, you're going to have part of your day to hang out with your fellow people that are climbing with and talk about your summit attempt that night. Here's a group eating. So speaking of food, let's jump in and look at what food looks like on Kilimanjaro. All sorts of vegetarian, vegan food and food for meat lovers as well. This is right before they're starting their hike. So as you can see, all types of good fresh fruit and vegetables up there. People always say, can you cook vegetarian, vegan, and all that kind of stuff? Yes, we've been doing it forever. So what do you carry on Kilimanjaro, right? So this is a question where sometimes there's some confusion. You carry a day pack. Now, these people have matching day packs, and you do not have to have a matching day pack. But as you can tell, they're probably about, 20 to 30 liters. And they're carrying their rain gear, and they're carrying 3 liters of water and maybe some sunglasses and things like that. So that's what you would carry while you're going up the mountain. So if you look at this group, this was actually this last year, and you can see the trekkers right here, these smaller kind of day packs. If you look at this picture, it's actually quite cool because they're going across the Shira Plateau. So this is day 3. This is only 1,000 feet of elevation gain, but they're shooting for that big rock up there in the center. That's called Lava Tower at 15,000 feet. They're going to camp before they get here. But as you can see, small day packs are what you're going to bring up on the mountain. As guides, we bring emergency equipment up the mountain with us as well. That's Manasseh. So how much weight can you bring? So what can you carry up the mountain, right? Well, each one of you would bring a duffel like this. These are North Face large or extra large duffels, right? And you're going to put all your stuff for your 8 days and 7 nights in one of these. Now, if you don't have one of these, we have extra over there as well, but this is what you're going to put. And let's look at your gear. So this is your collective gear. This is another important one. This is your collective gear that you're going to need on the mountain. Now, take into consideration that this doesn't have your boots or your day pack or your rain gear that you're carrying, but this is what you have. So you're going to have a sun hat, a warm hat, 2 sets of gloves, kind of more of an insert, and a bigger one, a few shells, rain pants, socks and underwear, puffy, so a warmth layer, maybe 2 pairs of pants, some thermal underwear, camelback, and a sleeping bag, a sleeping pad. So that's essentially everything it goes into. So in general, I would say that people's bags weigh 26 to 32 pounds in general, but you have to keep it within 32 pounds because the gentleman or the woman, we actually have women porters as well, carrying your bag also is carrying their own stuff as well as too. So this is a weight that we stick by, and in general, people are a little bit under it. So what is the hardest part? Okay, so I always tell people this, and this is very, very important for you first-time climbers, right? First-time people, is your biggest mountain. Kilimanjaro is a series of day hikes, right? A series of day hikes followed by probably the hardest hike you'll do in your life, or one of the hardest. So it's going to be 6 days of reasonable hikes at elevation, and then you're going to have a huge, huge day, which is going to be 12 to 14 hours after 6 days of hiking. So let's look at that and see what that looks like. Okay, so in the middle of the night, you're going to start hiking in the middle of the night at midnight or 11 a.m., depending upon the speed of the group. And this is what you'll look like. You're going to have everything on. Typically on a summit night, you're going to have 3 layers on, 3 layers of everything, sometimes even double sets of thermal underwear. You're going to have a balaclava, a headlamp. You're going to be carrying your water system. And you're going to have your trekking poles, and you're going to start hiking. And you're going to do this for 7 or 8 hours. It's hard. It is very, very, very hard because you're tired, you're exhausted. You might not have slept the night before, and you have to walk really, really slow. Now, granted, it is only 3 miles, but it's going to take you 7 hours. Okay. It's hard. There's no physical climbing. You're just walking up a mountain, following a trail, very, very slow. Okay. So here's some of the images of what it looks like. This is one of my favorite images. This is the first starting image, right? But this is that hike up the mountain, slow, slow, slow in the middle of the night. Thanks to everyone who's submitting questions. I will get to them at the end of this presentation. So you're starting here to realize you're going to make it to the top. So this is 7 hours later, and 7 hours of walking is hard. Now remember, at here, you're probably approaching 18,000 feet. So every step you take is a lot harder than you used to take when you're down at sea level. You can see the Mwenzi Peak. That's the other peak that I talked about in the background, right? And you can see that you're up above the clouds, right? Here's another great picture. This was a Romanian group, and you can see the picture of, you can see the shadow of Kilimanjaro, and you actually see another peak right here. So this is a great shot. This is actually not on the peak that we were talking about. This is on a peak called the Western Breach. For anyone here who is actually a mountain climbing type, and you've climbed something like Rainier or Aconcagua, you would go up the Western Breach route. It's another great option. Or if you're into mountaineering, we can talk about that. If you have any questions, you can message me. So back to the group we were talking about. So you're going to hike in the middle of the night. They started right here on the side of the screen, and they've spent that 7 hours getting up to this ridge right here. This is called Stella Point. Okay, so they spent the whole night in the dark, headlamps, walking up here to Stella Point. Okay. So you're not there yet. It is 7 hours up and 7 hours down. Not there yet. This is almost to Stella Point. And I'm going to show you what it looked like. This was a group I was with. This was a kidney donor group. Last year, we were on Good Morning America for National Kidney Donor Day. But you can kind of see what Stella Point looks like. Again, not the top of Kilimanjaro.
Oh, yeah. Smiles, big smile. Yeah, fantastic. There they are, our leaders. Here and Donovan, Embark. Give me a smile there, Sharon.
All right, so they are actually right here on the left-hand side of the screen at 18,885. This is Stella Point. So they came through these clouds and have made it to right here. Now look, seems very close, very easy. It is not. It is, yes, it is only 600 feet or so, but it's still going to take you maybe 45 minutes to an hour to get over here, and you're going to be very tired. So you're maybe 8 hours into your climb right now, and you're going to cross and follow this ridge along where the glacier is right here to the top of Africa, 19,341 feet, Uhuru Peak, which means freedom. And this is where you're hopefully going to watch the sunrise over Africa. Now, this picture has a lot of clouds, so I doubt they're going to still see the sunrise. But you get up there for when the sun rises. Typically, you're hopefully at the summit between 7:30 and 8:30. Okay, so here's a group. This is Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. They've been doing trips with us every year since 2017, and they are at the top. Now, I want to show you another picture. This other picture is actually the same time of year, just a different year. Wow, totally different, right? Snow. Now, this is not really indicative, but it does happen. And the thing about any mountain and any trek you do, you always have to prepare for the unexpected. Again, a lot of these average people, average climbers, first-time climbers made it to the top of Africa, or made it to the top of, the top of Africa. And here's one of our favorite pictures, and this is just a fun group that you might see sometimes in our marketing material. Okay, so let's look at what it's like walking on top of Africa. You can hear the wind. All right. That's what the top of Africa looks like. So here's another shot in a different area coming up the Western Breach, but I love this picture of this woman right here. I thought I would put it in. All right, what's the price? I saw that was listed in the questions. Price depends upon lots of factors, ratio of guides and porters. The most important thing is fair wages. About 85% of the companies are not in the fair wages game. Number of nights of hotels, airport transfer, quality of the guides. Very, very important. I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a minute. So it runs anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000, depending upon the company. And it includes a permit. If you look at someone like, there's a lot of companies I actually won't mention. They fall within that range. Embark's about $3,500 for 3 nights in hotels, 2-to-1 ratio of guides. So that means if someone has to come down, they come down with an English speaking guide. Fair wages, all transfers for 4-star hotels. It varies based on number of days. Okay, so quality of the guides. Let's look at what a quality guide is like on Kilimanjaro. Now, when I say quality, I mean that this isn't someone who's been doing it 1 year or 2 years. These are generally men in their late 40s, early 50s with 300 summits.
Jumbo, I'm Donovan.
Jumbo, I'm Fred Chikima.
The key to a successful Kilimanjaro climb is having some of the best guides.
Let me introduce you to few of them.
Jumbo, my name is Yobu. I am a mountain guide. I have climbed the mountain more than 15 years.
My name is Frederick Tarimo. I climbed the Kilimanjaro 379 times.
He's at 400 now.
Working through what we're going through here each day with our guides and porters and cook crew, and it's a dream come true for us.
My name is Gaudens. I've been with Kilimanjaro more than 20 years.
My name is Augustine. I have been on the mountain more than 16 years.
I'm Manasseh. I have been climbing Mount Kilimanjaro more than 20 years.
I've spoken to everyone here, and everyone said that you have exceeded all of our expectations. Thank you so much for being part of our incredible journey.
So as I was mentioning, yes, many of the guides have been doing it for a long, long time. As I said, Frederick Tarimo, who's an amazing guide, is over 400 now. So fair treatment of porters, very, very important. We follow the guidelines for the responsible porter treatment, fair wages, meals per day, tents, only certain amount of weight. You see that weight there, 44 pounds. And we were talking about 32 pounds earlier for our gear. They have to carry some of their own gear and food as well. Transparent tipping procedures, that's really, really big. Adequate clothing, and with ill porters, which does happen, provide medical treatment and allow all of our trips to be audited by a third party. So that happens on Kilimanjaro. I would like to say too that we have female porters, started about 3 years ago. So we're probably some of the first groups that have women porters now, about 4 of them that work for us. We love our porters so much that I just want to show you what we did for them during COVID.
On behalf of Embark, I would like to thank you everyone who donate money to support our Kili team. Everyone is here. We have 45 crews here, and everyone is going home with 25 kgs of rice and 25 kgs of beans and 3 liters of cooking oil. Also, we gave them enough money for them to use with their family for a couple of months to come. So we really appreciate for everyone who donate anything to support our team. And we don't know how to thank you enough, but what we can say is thank you from the bottom of our heart, and thank you for saving us this time.
So that there represented more than, I think it's $25,000 that was distributed out to our porter team based on donations from Embark and all the previous clients who had climbed with us as well. So training, I did see a question about training. Yes, there is a training plan that we provide, both a both like a YouTube based videos as well as an actual tangible training printout that you can do. So you need 3 months of training, preferably 4. So you need to think about what time of year you're going, and if you're able to hike and walk and do cardio based things prior to going. You do not need to be around mountains. You do not need to fly to Colorado. You can be in Los Angeles. You can be in Florida. You can be in New York City. You need to be able to walk 6 miles, 8 miles, 10 miles. You need to put a pack on. You need to put weight in it. You need to walk stairs. You need to do cardio-based running, walking, and hiking multiple days in a row on the weekend, and maybe hopefully a midweek workout. So yes, so people train 3 to 4 months. And again, remember what I said at the beginning. If you drink a lot of water, you go really slow, you follow the training plan, you have a very, very high probability of making it to the top. If you'd like to see that training plan, I will, you can email me or message me and I can send you a copy of the training plan. Okay, so let's look again back at the summit night, because I want to make sure everyone understands this, right? So we're coming up the side of the mountain. Remember, day 1, day 2, day 3, an acclimatization hike. Look at this, 12,600. We're going to hike all the way up to 15,000 feet and then drop back down to 13,000 feet. So this is 1, 2, 3, camp 4 over here, 5, right? 6, so 6 days of hiking, right? Then we're going to spend 14 hours going up and down to right here before we hike out the final day. Now, I should say within that 14 hours in the middle, we're going to stop here after about 9 hours in. We're going to come back to the camp where we started. We're going to try to go to sleep for 1 hour. We're going to try to eat a full meal. We're going to get back up. We're going to finish out. Hardest part is not only going up. The hardest part is about a 10,000 foot descent. So everyone always says, oh, why are you descending 10,000 feet? There's a number of reasons. 1, it's out of the wind down here in Mweka camp. 2, it's safer to be below around 10,000 feet. Just you're going to feel way, way better. 3, the Tanzanian park authorities built the camps like this. Now, there is another hidden camp called Millennium Camp that is right in here, but this is how it works. It is hard, but it is doable. I've got thousands of people to do this, but sometimes I've seen a few complaints of a 10,000 foot descent. It's just kind of built that way. It makes a reasonable day to get out on your final day. Okay, so 6.5 days going up, right? Day and a half going down, final summit, look, descend all the way back down, Mweka camp out. Are there other ways to climb Kilimanjaro? Sure. The Machame route actually comes up right up here. You can do Machame in a 7-day now. You no longer, as of just like last month, you can no longer do Machame in under a 7-day. You have to do, or under a 6-day, you have to do a 7-day. And this one, you can only do in 8 days on it now. Okay. There is the Rongai on the opposite side. There's the Marangu route, which we call the Coca-Cola route, which is not as exciting, and we do not offer that. And then there's the Western Breach for people who are actually mountaineering people. There is a thing called the Western Breach, which is done by less than 1%, and Embark is one of those companies that does it. It comes up right here and comes up the crater and up like that. And I'm happy to talk to any of you about that afterwards. Remember, in the chat, I'm going to put it in. If anybody wants to speak afterwards, face to face, I'm just decided to try it. And as immediately after this Zoom is over, I'm going to open up one where people can talk directly one-on-one. So it's not just me talking to myself. All right, so let's keep going here. We're almost, where are we at right now? It's 6:06. Okay. Remember this, a couple more slides here. Take your time. The longer you're on the mountain, the higher your success rate. It's expensive to climb Kilimanjaro. It's far to go. Take an 8-day trip. Make sure you're acclimatized, right? Make sure you're acclimatized. Don't go all the way and try to skim and then have a lower chance of making the top. Pay fair wages. Be part of work with the company that was part of the Kilimanjaro Port Assistance Project. Very, very important. Plan at least 9 months to 1 year in advance if you can. If you're looking to join a group of people, then that's the best way to find a group of people. You can usually reach out to different companies and they can say, we have groups that you can join here, or just do a private trip with your friends. I would say 80% of the people do private trips with friends and family. Training for a minimum of 3 months to prepare, better 4 to 6 months if you can. Invite friends. Kilimanjaro can be done by anyone in reasonable shape, right? Reasonable shape means you can get out and walk and hike. It can be done by anyone. We've had a lot of people in their 70s this year. We've had as old as 83 and as young as 12. Again, this is that call immediately after I end this call and answer all the questions that you can jump on. I put it into the chat. Okay, this is my shameless self-promotion.
Why did you decide to climb Kilimanjaro?
Well, it's something I've wanted to do for over 20 years. So I've researched it, I've read about it, talked to many people. Then Donovan came along, and that was a game changer. He's the game changer. He took time to talk to me, explain to me, called me, emailed me, and I'm thrilled to be here. It's been a long time waiting, and I'm here. This is what I get to do. Thank you.
All right. If you're looking to join an existing group of people in 2023, here are some last minute trips. These are all confirmed trips with confirmed groups of people. I would say that we are 90% done with 2023 already. So if you're looking to go next year and you want to talk, otherwise think about January through March of next year or mid-June through October. It is never too early to plan, but these are existing groups of people. If you want to chat, here's something funny. One of the best parts about climbing Kilimanjaro are the people. Hands down, go out and read our reviews on TripAdvisor, read them on Facebook reviews or whatever. It's the people, and it's always the people, and they're fun. And this is a fun guy from a while back who I just thought I would end it on a funny note.
All right, you're on.
All right, if you have anybody have questions, I'm going to look into the questions right now and go through them. Okay, first question. And we talked about pricing. Does the company have a training plan? Yes, we do. What time of year is best for climbing? I think we answered that. January through March and mid-June through October. We trek to base camp from Mount Everest. Is the trek about the same? No, it is not the same. We constantly debate, is Everest Base Camp different from Mount Kilimanjaro? It's just different. Base camp is double the distance of Mount Kilimanjaro. And I assume you slept inside on your base camp trek. So you were sleeping outside on Kilimanjaro and you have a harder push on summit night than you did at your Everest Base Camp trek. So people kind of debate it. I think it's about 60% of people say Kilimanjaro is more, and maybe 40% say Everest Base Camp. It is different. How do I know if I'm physically fit enough for the hike? You need to see if you can go out on a Saturday and do maybe 7, 8, 9 miles, maybe throw 2,000 feet of elevation, and then doing it again on a Sunday. And you need to be able to do that a few weeks prior to your climb on Kilimanjaro. And that would be a good way to train for it. That's physically fit enough. Do you supply the tents? Yes, the tents are included. What gear do you provide? Mess tents, sleeping tents. We actually have all types of gear. We have a big, huge rental gear program. If you want to rent any gear, most people bring their own stuff, but if you want a sleeping bag or a sleeping pad or things like that, but most people provide their own clothing. And if you need a sleeping bag or a sleeping pad, we can work that out, or trekking poles. But yes, we do provide a gear list as well. So if you want a gear list, also email me at Donovan at embarkexplorationco.com and I can send you what that is. You mentioned previous climbs. What level of experience is necessary? There's no level of experience that is needed on Kilimanjaro. You need to probably go out and go hiking. Do not show up at the trailhead and pull out your boots for the first time or learn to put on gaiters for the first time. You have to have some hiking experience or some significant walking experience to do it, but you do not have to have any experience. This is what we call everyone's Mount Everest. This is the hardest thing that most people can do, but it's reasonable for average people to do it. Where do you get water from for everyone? Well, Carrie, we get water from streams and we chemically treat that water. So all throughout the Kilimanjaro system, there's kind of core areas where people get the water with no human waste above that. It's chemically treated. How many people do you take in your group? From Kathy. It depends. You can come with your own group of friends and you can say there's 2 of us, 3 of us, 5 of us, 10 of us. If you're looking to join a collective group of people that you don't know, in general, most Embark groups are 8 or 9-ish. But it really, really, really varies. Will hiking other high altitude mountains prior be of any value before getting to Mount Kilimanjaro? No, because every time you hike at elevation, it's a different experience. So you can hike it one time and have no problem, and you can hike it again another time and have a problem. Of course, it's great and to feel what it feels like, but it's not going to give you any kind of competitive advantage. The competitive advantage is going slow, drinking water, being fit. How much volume water is appropriate for climbing success? I have climbed 14 meter peak or 14,000 mountains in Colorado and drank 2. Yeah, so the volume of water is appropriate. It's 3 liters of water per day at a minimum. That is with the exception of day 1. So 3 liters of water is the level of success. Shots, vaccines, yes, there are no requirements to go into Tanzania. If you land in another African country, do you need yellow fever? It depends upon which country that is, but 95% of the time, the answer is no. There are no COVID tests needed anymore. Are certifications required to trek, such as wilderness? There are no certifications required for you to trek it. Most of our guides have certifications, mainly that are based in Tanzania, CPR and first aid in Tanzania, but we do have some that have come to the United States and done wilderness knolls. Yes, this recording will be shared. During the climb, do you or your staff conduct fitness tests or fitness wellness tests? Yes, every night. I should have shown that. I apologize for that. Every night we are monitoring you and how you're doing on the mountain, and we do a survey in the morning and the evening, and we're tracking your fitness and wellness check to see how you are doing up the mountain. Thank you for bringing that up, Sherry. I should have showed an example of what that looks like. Do you need to bring a water purification system? No, we have them. I'm diabetic, well controlled. Are there any prohibited health diagnoses? No, in general. Usually people that are over 65 get a doctor's note if they come up the mountain. What do we do in Moshi for 2 days before we hike? Well, that is a good question, Laura. Here's what you do. The day you get there, you're tired and you're exhausted. So that's a waste. The second day that you're there, you meet the guides. We go through all of your gear in your room. And you might do some last minute things, get a few last minute things for the mountain, but mainly it is resting. You're going to rest for those days. If you feel like doing something, there's some nice little coffee tours, very cheap and affordable, that you can do right from the hotel and get you up on the side of Kilimanjaro. What happens if someone from your group can't go any further? Do you leave them behind with the guides, or does the whole group come down? Because we have a high ratio of guides and porters or guides per person, you're going to go down with an English speaking guide. So remember, the guides speak English. The porters mostly only speak Swahili. My name is Mzungu Kicha, right? And anyway, they will come down. You will come down with a guide. In general, there's a secret road that goes up on the Kilimanjaro between day 3 and day 4 on the first side of the mountain. And there's a way that we can get a car up to between day 3 and day 4. Otherwise, depending upon where you are and what happens to you, we can bring you down either the Umbwe route or we bring you down the Mweka route. There are no helicopters that fly up into Kilimanjaro anymore to stop people or to bring people down. How far in advance do you need to book a trip? Depends upon if you're joining a group or if your own group. I would say most people are 7, 8, 9 months in advance. Yes, we do the hotel reservations. If you come early, we still pick you up at the hotel. How much on tips should we? Oh, this is a good one. How much of a tip should each person plan to spend? Tipping. This is a complex one in Kilimanjaro. It is a cultural thing that we cannot change. But most people on average bring $400 to $500 on average because they're tipping a broad group of people. So remember, let's say you had a group of 5 of you. There's probably going to be a 30-person support staff for 5 people. So you are going to tip. You only tip if you want to tip and you like to tip, but I would say most people generally bring that much. And we have a document that could show you to help you kind of figure it out. Can we donate this presentation again? There will be a link. I'm going to send it to everyone. What measures are in place to ensure the group maintains a consistent climbing pace? That's a good question, Ryan. Well, the philosophy on Kilimanjaro, as I said earlier, is pole pole, which means slow, slow. Now, in general, we go slow up the mountain. Now, in the rare instance that in the instance that there's 2 groups with completely different skill sets, which does happen from time to time, we stagger them. And because we have a high ratio of guides per person, we can run 2 groups, but we're camping at the same night. And if we have a group of people and they're all friends, but they have different skill sets, we might start the slower group up an hour or 2 early to try to merge together at Stella Point. So that's what we can do. We can spread out. Kilimanjaro is point to point hiking. So we can climb separately and then be at the same camp at night. I've seen a bunch of other messages here. Okay. Do you need ankle high boots or need to be waterproof? You do not need ankle high boots, but it's nice for them to be waterproof. Have you ever had a solo hikers just join existing group? Taylor Bell. Yes, we always have solo hikers join existing groups. Is altitude sickness an issue? Great question, Robert. Yes, altitude sickness is an issue, and it does happen to a lot of people in Kilimanjaro. But if you're drinking water, and you can, a lot of times, if you can get through the night, you usually can sometimes have light level AMS, and then you can get over to it. Some people who have really bad altitude sickness, which does happen, we do bring them down the mountain, and we do not take oxygen and keep going up the mountain. We take oxygen and we go down the mountain, and there's 0 exceptions. Are there hotel rooms for single occupants? Yes, there's hotel rooms for single occupants and single tents if need be. We like the tents to be shared if you have friends, because these are a 3-person tent built for 2. We do have single supplements and things like that. Do you have a safari you'd recommend? Yes, most people do 5 days. They go to the Tarangire National Park, the Ngorongoro Crater, 2 days of the Serengeti and back. If you're interested in that, Robin with our company Embark can talk you through what a safari. I would say 80% of the people do safaris afterwards, and they go to northern Tanzania. So the day that you come down the mountain, you go back. We have a big, huge party at the end. In fact, I'm going to show you the party right now, and then I'm going to jump off. We have a big, huge party at the end, and then the next day you go to sleep, you wake up, and you start your party. I'm going to show you what these parties look like, and then I'm going to end it and join the other Zoom if anybody wants to talk. This is what the party looks like at the end. Yeah. Anyway, this was a group that just was there in March, and this is a big party over there. And it's not the best video, but you can see it's a lot of fun. Anyways, that's all from me tonight. Thank you for joining the Kilimanjaro presentation. And again, if any of you want to join and talk some more, I'm jumping into the chat. I am jumping into the other meeting if you want to talk directly with me. Otherwise, my name is Donovan. It was a pleasure talking with you. Check out Embark. We also do trips, all sorts of other places around the world. My personal favorite is Mount Kilimanjaro. I wish I could be there. I love Mount Kilimanjaro, but I got to be here talking to people like you. Thanks a lot. Bye.